How's it going? I don't really know what I'm doing, so I guess we'll just roll with it. My name is Zachary. I've been making games for a while now, but I want to start a new one and share my progress on YouTube. The game I'm working on now is called Signals. It's supposed to be a horror survival game where the players have to complete objectives and escape monsters, basically. The game is set in the Arctic, which I thought was a pretty cool environment. Yeah, this is what I've been working on for the past 2 weeks. I started making a map, but it really didn't look good at all. So I ended up just buying a map that someone else made. And I think it works pretty well. It looks pretty good. It fits the game perfectly. I added these towers with lights on top to direct the player. So at each tower there's going to be an objective that the player has to complete. The map isn't anything special, but it is what it is, I suppose. I started working on the character. I just grabbed a model from the toolbox, which also fits the game perfectly, but it was in R15, but I wanted an R6, so I just transferred it over. I added some basic sprinting, some depth of field effect. It just makes stuff blurry depending the distance between the player and the object that they're looking at. The sprinting's pretty simple as well. It's just a simple hold shift to sprint and it plays an animation. That's it. I also added some movement sounds, so when the player walks on different surfaces it makes different sounds. It's pretty cool. As well as landing sounds. So if the player jumps and lands on, say, rocks, then it'll sound like the player landed on rocks. Continuing with the player, I made a simple loading screen. It's pretty simple. It just grabs everything that's in the workspace and then loads it in and puts on the screen how many things are loaded. And I made this pretty cool menu. I love 3D menus. It just looks really cool to have you actually click something that's like in the world instead of just a GUI. I think it looks really cool. It has a little settings menu which isn't finished, but press play and it spawns your character in. Pretty simple, but I think it looks pretty good. For gameplay wise, this is the most I've worked on this game. To start, I made some tools. I made a desert eagle, which I think looks pretty cool. I was having problems with the bullet drop and hit detection. I know there's resources out there like fast cast, but that was too complicated for me. So currently it makes a ray from the muzzle of the gun to the player's mouse position, and then if it hits any humanoid, then it deals damage. The damaging isn't too complicated, although there is still a bullet effect that has bullet drop and everything, so it's a little deceiving I guess, but that's okay. I also added reloading to the pistol. I also added stored ammo and max ammo so that the player can go around and find ammo boxes and get more ammo. It's pretty cool, it works pretty well. Using that from the pistol, I just added a couple of lines of code for full auto. It's pretty simple. I just added a few lines of code that checks if the player is shooting or not. I was gonna make a shotgun, but I didn't do it yet, so that's still in the works. On the lines of tools, I also made a flashlight. I think it works pretty well. You click and the light turns on, it plays a little animation. I think it works pretty well. Continuing with the gameplay, I made a generator, so you just hold F and it plays this animation, plays some sound effects. I think it works pretty good. The generator's not connected to anything yet, so there's no way of winning the game. This is just more of a concept of how it will look in the end. I made a day-night cycle. Again, pretty simple, just the sun goes around the map. Yeah, pretty simple. But what I'm going to do in the future is make it so then more monsters spawn at night. I wanted the daytime to be kind of like a grace period where the players can continue to loot and give the player some time to relax before it gets chaos again. I think the last thing I worked on was one of the monsters. I wanted to try and push my limits a little bit here. So I found a great YouTube tutorial on how to make a procedurally generated walking animations using inverse kinematics. It works. There's some buttering up I need to work on, but overall I think it works pretty well. One of the things I tried to do is make it so the spider can climb up walls, because with how it was in the tutorial, it doesn't climb up walls really. This was a pain to do because I had to re-rig the entire spider just so that I can play an animation of it climbing up a wall. It took way too long, but I did it. It doesn't look the greatest, and the spider kind of bugs out when it gets to the top of the wall, kind of freaks out. But so far it works pretty well. I'm gonna add more monsters, some kind of like zombie or something. I don't know. Haven't really given the monsters much thought, but yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Going in the future, I really want this game to be driven by the community. I really want your input on the game so that I can make a game that you guys would want to play. So that's what I've been working on for the past 2 weeks. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, great. And yeah, I don't really know how to end this video. So bye, I guess.